Hello YouTube, this is Enchanted LifePath TV and we are live, properly sorted, job done. Sorry it took a while getting on. I am just going to come on with a little bit of breaking news. It seems as if the Trump administration needs a little bit of credibility, so they've gone and planted a little bag of flour in the airport in Cleveland. Hopkins Airport. It is now closed due to a security risk. In the ticketing area of the airport. So when we look into it, it says the bomb squad is responding to Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. Sources tell News 5 Cleveland, who are breaking the story. Airport officials confirmed part of the ticketing level is closed due to a security situation. Right, if I have my notification that we are live. So, as you said, look, they're saying a bomb disposal squad is now on its way there. They are responding to the security situation, as they're quoting it, at Cleveland Hopkins International Airport. Sources tell News 5 airport officials confirm part of the ticketing level is closed due to a security situation. Sources tell me suspicious package found in the area. So that's Tracy Carlos. Not sure who she is. Cleveland says part of our ticketing level is currently closed for a security situation. Please be patient and avoid the area. Twitter users reported that they were evacuated from the airport. So you can see a few people standing outside. Now, the fact that nothing's happened probably just points to the fact that he needs a little bit of credibility. It's probably a drill. These are probably all crisis actors. Again, Cleveland Airport just evacuated, standing outside freezing. Developing story. A suspicious package. Let's just have a little look at anything else. We keep on going back to Cleveland, though, don't we? Can't get away from the place. Right. Oh no. I don't want to go to the Cleveland shootout. I just want to see what's going on in Cleveland right now. There are the latest posts. It's not like it's big breaking news or nothing. It doesn't seem to be. Hopkins. Cleveland Hopkins Airport closed. Hopkins International provides a gateway refilling stations. So there's only been a couple of posts. They're the latest tweets with Cleveland Hopkins. Probably one that's meant to just to slip under the radar, maybe. Anyway, what I've come over for is because I've been looking into biological patents. A biological patent is a patent on an invention in the field of biology that by law allows patent holders to exclude others from making, using, selling, or importing the protected invention for a limited period of biological patents. Patents vary among jurisdictions and may include biological technology and products, genetically modified organisms, and genetic material. The applicability of patents to substances and process wholly or partially natural in the origin is a subject of debate. Now look at this. We're going to flip back and forward to the information. Now I'm going to flip back and forward. Look at this. After it was announced in June, human genome was almost completely mapped. Private and public entities unleashed a flood of patent requests for genes and small pieces of gene sequences to total the number of human genes is estimated to be about 30,000. And until recently, up to 20% of those genes were patented by private companies, the government, and even individuals. Nuts. Supreme Court's decision in 2013, in June of 2013, the US Supreme Court unanimously ruled that naturally occurring genes and genetic sequences are not patentable. The case centers on patents on the genes BRCA1 and BRCA2, which are normal genes found in all humans, but mutations in them increase the risk of breast cancer. Yeah. By invalidating patents held on BRCA1 and BRCA2, and all of the gene patents were also invalidated. The MA submitted an amicus curiae brief PDF there for anyone to read in support invalidating gene patents, stating that gene patents interfere with diagnosis and treatment, gene patents interfere with the quality assurance, gene patents interfere with access to healthcare, gene patents interfere with scientific and medical innovation. Now, there's got to be codes of ethics around all of this. We're going to flip backward and forward, as I said. That was the wrong one. Now, in Australia, in 2013, Judge Justice Nicholas ruled in the Federal Court of Australia in favour of a myriad genetics patent in the BRCA1 gene. This was a landmark ruling affirming the validity of patents on naturally occurring DNA sequences. This is just how to get the little foot in. Okay. However, the US Supreme Court came to the opposite conclusion only a few months later. The Australian ruling has been appealed to the full bench of the federal court. Submissions in the case include consideration of the US Supreme Court ruling. The decision was decided in 2014, affirming Nicholas J's decision in favour of myriad, confirming that isolated genetic material genes are valid subjects of patents. Right, then as of June 2015, the case was pending here in the High Court of Australia. In 2015, the October, a few months later, the Australian High Court ruled that naturally occurring genes cannot be patented. Right, but it's a little slightly different stance on the European Union Directive 9844 EC. The Biotech Directive reconciled that the legislation of biological patents among certain countries under the jurisdiction of the European Patent Organisation allows for the patent of natural biological products, including gene sequences, as long as they are isolated from their natural environment or produced by means of a technical process. The European Patent Office has ruled that European patents cannot be granted for the processes that involve the destruction of human embryos. Japan, under the umbrella of the biotechnology applications for patents on biological inventions are examined according to genetical guidelines for patents. In response to the request for additional clarity, the Japan Patent Office, JPO, set forth specific guidelines for biology-related inventions. Over the years, the JPO has continued to amend these guidelines to clarify their application to new technologies. These amendments have broadened the scope of patents within the biotechnology industry. The Japanese Patent Act requires that patented inventions be industrially applicable, i.e. they must have a market or commercial potential. Right, and the JPO, let's just move this. The JPO explicitly lists medical activities among inventions that fall outside the scope of industrially applicable inventions, meaning that methods of surgery, therapy, or diagnosis of human diseases cannot be patented. The United States, we all know, ruled against it. Ethics. Patent of genes is a controversial issue in terms of bioethics. Some believe that it is unethical to patent genetic material because it treats life as a commodity, or that it undermines the dignity of people and animals by allowing ownership of genes. This is where it just starts sort of grinding my gears a little bit, to be honest with you. Who are they to patent our genes, our DNA? you know where the TARS can't have nothing. Some say that living materials occur naturally and therefore cannot be patented. The American Medical Association stands that gene patents inhibit access to genetic testing for patients and hinder research on genetic disease. So that's what they're saying. But like at the same time, you should be able to patent your own genes. You should be able to. That's what you want. The World Trade Organization. After a little pause. While some feel that the patent on living material is unethical, others believe that not allowing patents on biotechnological inventions would also be unethical. Supporters of that idea suggest that patents allow the public as well as policymakers to hold the owner of the patents accountable. They favour biological patents because they require disclosure of information to the public. Agreements such as agreements of trade-related aspects of intellectual property rights and TRIPS require members of the World Trade Organization to have intellectual property protection laws in place for most biological innovations, making it unlikely that many countries will prohibit patents on genes altogether. Although some say that patenting a gene turns people into a commodity, others disagree. Some say that patenting genes only commodifies life as if a patent applies to an entire human being, arguing that patents on a single body do not violate human dignity. Yeah, the last major ethical case involving gene patents is how the patents are used post-issuance. A major concern is that the use of patent materials and processes will be very expensive or prohibited to some degree by conditions the patent owner sets. Limiting access like this would directly impact agricultural institutes and university teachers, among others. Some fear that the holders of biotechnology patents would exploit their rights in order to make larger profits at the potential expense of farmers' healthcare. So you should be able to patent your own genes, and then if you're some sort of genius, you know what I mean, instead of them just taking them off you, which is all they do anyway. Give us a go, you swab. After 9/11, we had the biggest DNA grab ever. Every single person's DNA in the whole world got documented. They want it for a reason. They're looking for something. And then they're looking to pull something off. Wonder what that might be. We'll go back to that shortly. See what else I've dragged up here. Just gonna have a little listen to this woman because I want to hear what she speaks. I haven't listened to her. Her name is Tanya Simoncelli, and just gonna see what she says for a little 5 or 10 minutes just to see what way she takes it. Yeah, just see how it goes.
It was an afternoon in the fall of 2005. I was working at the ACLU as the organization's science advisor. I really, really loved my job, but I was having one of those days where I was feeling just a little bit discouraged. So I wandered down the hallway to my colleague Chris Hansen's office. He'd been at the ACLU for more than 30 years, so he had deep institutional knowledge and insights. I explained to Chris that I was feeling a little bit stuck. I had been investigating a number of issues at the intersection of science and civil liberties. Super interesting. But I wanted the ACLU to engage these issues in a much bigger way, in a way that could really make sense. So Chris cut right to the chase and he says, well,
she's trying to sell something to me, yeah. I feel like I'm getting sold something.
All the issues you've been looking at, what are the top 5? Well, there's genetic discrimination and reproductive technologies and biobanking, and there's this really cool issue, functional MRI and using it for lie detection, and of course there's gene patents. Gene patents? Yes, patents on human genes.
This is what I've done before when I just typed in up here DNA patents, gene patents, cancer patents. This is in fact a cancer patent going on about all cures to cancer, dementia, all sorts. So we will be looking into that. That's in fact cannabis. So we will be going back into all of that shortly. But that's where all this has come from.
No. You're telling me that the US government has been issuing patents on part of the human body? That can't be right. I went back to my office and sent Chris.
So that's exactly, again, what I was thinking. I posted all this information over to the Facebook page and just popped up here. This is just what I've got open while I was looking for them. But exactly the line of thought that I was having, I've been typing in a lot of patterns lately and just looking at them because you find quite a lot of interesting stuff. So, as you can see in the title, there's going to be a couple of things in this, but this is one of the most interesting things which we will be looking into. And we know where it's going to head off and where it's all going. And when you plug it all in, to all the algorithms into these supercomputers, D-waves and whatever. But let's just take all the little bits of the let's get all the ingredients and put them together in the mixing bowl, shall we?
3 articles. And 20 minutes later, he came bursting into my office. Oh my God, you're right. Who can we sue? Now, Chris is a really brilliant lawyer, but he knew almost nothing about patent law. And certainly nothing about genetics. I knew something about genetics, but I wasn't even a lawyer, let alone a patent lawyer. So clearly we had a lot to learn before we could file a lawsuit. First, we needed to understand exactly what was patented when someone patented a gene. Gene patents typically contain dozens of claims, but the most controversial of these are to so-called isolated DNA, namely a piece of DNA that has been removed from a cell. Gene patent proponents say, see, we didn't patent the gene in your body, we patented an isolated gene. And that's true, but the problem is that any use of the gene requires that it be isolated. And the patents weren't just to a particular gene that they isolated, but on every possible version of that gene. So what does that mean? That means that you can't give your gene to your doctor and ask him or her to look at it, say to see if it has any mutations, without permission of the patent holder. It also means that the patent holder has the right to stop anyone from using that gene in research or clinical testing. Allowing patent holders, often private companies, to lock up stretches of the human genome was harming patients. Consider Abigail, a 10-year-old with long QT syndrome, a serious heart condition that, if left untreated, can result in sudden death. The company that obtained a patent on 2 genes associated with this condition developed a test to diagnose the syndrome, but then they went bankrupt and they never offered it. So another lab tried to offer the test, but the company that held the patents threatened to sue the lab for patent infringement. So as a result, for 2 years, no test was available. During that time, Abigail died of undiagnosed long QT. Gene patents clearly were a problem and were harming patients, but was there a way we could challenge them? Turns out that the Supreme Court has made clear through a long line.
Have a look at this. The laws of nature, physical phenomena, and abstract ideas have been held not patentable. Such discoveries and manifestations of nature free to all men and reserved exclusively to none. That was only quoted in 1980.
Line of cases that certain things are not patent eligible. You can't patent products of nature, the air, the water, minerals, elements of the periodic table.
Probably begs to differ. Air patents, you know, water patents, they like to see what you find up. I don't mean like stuff like that. See, there's going to be too much. A patent for changing metal air battery technology. Production, water-based data center. Actual water, that's just what I'm looking for, where they've been that cheeky to try and...
And you can't patent laws of nature. The law of gravity equals mc squared. These things are just too fundamental and must remain free to all and reserved exclusively to none. It seemed to us that DNA, the most fundamental structure of life that codes for the production of all of our proteins, is both a product of nature and a law of nature, regardless of whether it's in our bodies or sitting in the bottom of a test tube. As we delved into this issue, we traveled all over the country to speak with many different experts: scientists, medical professionals, lawyers, patent lawyers. Most of them agreed that we were right as a matter of policy, and at least in theory, as a matter of law. All of them thought our chances of winning a gene patent challenge were about 0. Why is that? Well, the Patent Office had been issuing these patents for more than 20 years. There were literally thousands of patents on human genes. The patent bar was deeply entrenched in the status quo. The biotech industry had grown up around this practice, and legislation to ban gene patents had been introduced year after year in Congress and had gone absolutely nowhere. So the bottom line, courts just weren't going to be willing to overturn these patents. Now, neither Chris nor I were the type to shy away from a challenge, and hearing being right just isn't enough seemed all the more reason to take on this fight. So we set out to build our case. Now, patent cases tend to be company A sues company B over some really narrow, obscure technical issue. We weren't really interested in that kind of case, and we thought that this case was much bigger than that. This was about scientific freedom, medical progress, the rights of patients. So we decided we were going to develop a case that was not like your typical patent case, more like a civil rights case. We set out to identify a gene patent holder that was vigorously enforcing its patents, and then to organize a broad coalition of plaintiffs and experts that could tell the court about all of the ways that these patents were harming patients and innovation. We found the prime candidate to sue in Myriad Genetics, a company that's based in Salt Lake City, Utah.
That's just a company who this article relates to in the Australian section. Or was it? Yeah. In favour of a Myriad Genetics patent. So that's when they went over to Australia to try and get the law pushed through in that part of the world, even though they are from Utah, like she just said.
Myriad held patents on 2 genes. The BRCA mutations along these genes are considered to be at a significantly increased risk of developing breast and ovarian cancer. Myriad had used its patents to maintain a complete monopoly on BRCA testing in the United States. It
forced multiple labs off on BRCA testing to stop. So it's just horrible, that. It is. Sorry.
It forced multiple labs that were offering BRCA testing to stop. It charged a lot of money for its test, over $3,000. It had stopped sharing its clinical data with the international scientific community. And perhaps worst of all, for a period of several years, Myriad refused to update its test to include additional mutations that had been identified by a team of researchers in France. It has been estimated that during that period, for several years, as many as 12% of women undergoing testing received the wrong answer. A negative test result that should have been positive. This is Kathleen Maxian. Kathleen's sister Eileen developed breast cancer at age 40, and she was tested by Myriad. The test was negative. The family was relieved. That meant that Eileen's cancer most likely didn't run in the family, and that other members of her family didn't need to be tested. But 2 years later, Kathleen was diagnosed with advanced stage ovarian cancer. It turned out that Kathleen's sister was among the 12% who received a false negative test result. Had Eileen received the proper result, Kathleen would have then been tested, and her ovarian cancer could have been prevented. Once we settled on Myriad, we then had to form a coalition of plaintiffs and experts that could illuminate these problems. We ended up with 20 highly committed plaintiffs. genetic counselors, geneticists who had received cease and desist letters, four major scientific organizations that collectively represented more than 150,000 scientists and medical professionals, and individual women who either couldn't afford Myriad's test or who wanted to obtain a second opinion but could not as a result of the patents. One of the major challenges we had in preparing the case was figuring out how best to communicate the science. So in order to, what Myriad did was not an invention, and that isolated BRCA genes were products of nature, we had to explain a couple of basic concepts, like what's a gene, what's DNA, how is DNA isolated, and why isn't that an invention? We spent hours and hours with our plaintiffs and experts trying to come up with ways of explaining these concepts simply yet accurately. And we ended up relying heavily on the use of metaphors, like gold. So isolating DNA, it's like extracting gold from a mountain or taking it out of a stream bed. You might be able to patent the process for mining the gold, but you can't patent the gold itself. It might have taken a lot of hard work and effort to dig the gold out of the mountain. Still can't patent it. It's still gold. And the gold, once it's extracted, can clearly be used for all sorts of things that it couldn't be used when it was in the mountain. Like you can make jewelry out of it, for example. Still can't patent the gold. It's still gold. So now it's 2009, and we're ready to file our case. We filed in federal court in the Southern District of New York, and the case was randomly assigned to Judge Robert Sweet. In March 2010, Judge Sweet issued his opinion, 152 pages, and a complete victory for our side. In reading the opinion, we could not get over how eloquently he described the science in the case. I mean, our brief, it was pretty good, but not this good. How did he develop such a deep understanding of this issue in such a short time? We just could not comprehend how this had happened. So it turned out Judge Sweet's clerk working for him at the time was not just a lawyer. He was a scientist. He was not just a scientist. He had a PhD in molecular biology. What an incredible stroke of luck. Myriad then appealed to the US Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit. And here things got really interesting. First, in a pivotal moment of this case, the US government switched sides. So in the district court, the government submitted a brief on Myriad's side. But now, in direct opposition to its own patent office, the US government files a brief that states that it has reconsidered this issue in light of the district court's opinion and has concluded that isolated DNA is not patent eligible. This was a really big deal, totally unexpected. The Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit hears all patent cases, and it has a reputation of being very, very pro-patent. So even with this remarkable development, we expected to lose, and we did, sort of. Ends up, split decision, 2-1. But the two judges who ruled against us did so for completely different reasons. The first one, Judge Laurie, made up his own novel biological theory, totally wrong. Decided Myriad had created a new chemical, made absolutely no sense. Myriad didn't even argue this, so it came out of the blue. The other, Judge Moore, said she basically agreed isolated DNA is a product of nature. But she's like, I don't want to shake up the biotech industry. The third, Judge Bryson, agreed with us. So now we sought review by the Supreme Court. And when you petition the Supreme Court, you have to present a question that you want the court to answer. Usually these questions take the paragraph, like a whole page long with lots and lots of clauses, wherein this and therefore that. And we submitted perhaps the shortest question presented ever. 4 words. Are human genes patentable? Now, when Chris first asked me what I thought of these words, I said, well, I don't know. I think you have to say, is isolated DNA patentable? Nope. I want the justices to have the very same reaction that I had when you brought this issue to me 7 years ago. Well, I certainly couldn't argue with that. The Supreme Court only hears about 1% of the cases that it receives, and it agreed to hear ours. The day of the oral argument arrives, and it was really, really exciting. Long line of people outside. People have been standing in line since 2:30 in the morning to try to get into the courthouse. 2 breast cancer organizations, Breast Cancer Action and Force, had organized a demonstration on the courthouse steps. Chris and I sat quietly in the hallway moments before he was to walk in and argue the most important case of his career. I was clearly more nervous than he was. But any remaining panic subsided as I walked into the courtroom and looked around at a sea of friendly faces. Our individual women clients who had shared their deeply personal stories. The geneticists who had taken huge chunks of time out of their careers to dedicate themselves to this fight. And representatives from a diverse array of medical, patient advocacy, environmental, and religious organizations who had submitted friend of the court briefs in the case. Also in the room were 3 leaders of the Human Genome Project, including the co-discoverer of DNA himself, James Watson, who had submitted a brief to the court where he referred to gene patenting as lunacy. The diversity of the communities represented in this room and the contributions each had made to make this day a reality spoke volumes to what was at stake. The argument itself was riveting. Chris argued brilliantly, but for me, the most thrilling aspect was watching the Supreme Court justices grapple with isolated DNA through a series of colorful analogies and feisty exchanges, very much the same way as our legal team had done for the past 7 years. Justice Kagan likened isolating DNA to extracting a medicinal plant from the Amazon. Justice Roberts distinguished it from carving a baseball bat from a tree. And in one of my absolutely favorite moments, Justice Sotomayor proclaimed isolated DNA to be just nature sitting there. We felt pretty confident leaving the courtroom that day, but I could never have anticipated the outcome. 9-0. A naturally occurring DNA segment is a product of nature and not patent eligible merely because it has been isolated. And furthermore, Myriad did not create anything. Within 24 hours of the decision, 5 labs had announced that they would begin to offer testing for the BRCA genes. Some of them promised to offer the test at a lower price than Myriad's. Some promised to provide a more comprehensive test than the one Myriad was offering. But of course, the decision goes far beyond Myriad. It ends a 25-year practice of allowing patents on human genes in the United States. It clears a significant barrier to biomedical discovery and innovation, and it helps to ensure that patients like Abigail, Kathleen, and Eileen have access to the tests that they need. A few weeks after the court issued its decision, I received a small package in the mail. It was from Bob Cook-Deegan, a professor at Duke University, and one of the very first people Chris and I went to visit when we started to consider whether to bring this case. I opened it up to find a small stuffed animal. We took a big risk in taking this case. Part of what gave us the courage to take that risk was knowing that we were doing the right thing. The process took nearly 8 years from the start to finish, with many twists and turns along the way. A little luck certainly helped, but it was the communities that we bridged, the alliances that we created that made pigs fly. Thank you.
Right, I think that was quite interesting based on the medical effect that it does have on people. And the fact that these companies have actually gone ahead and tried to test things out, patent things, such as our genetical code. It's unbelievable. So, where's this company? Myriad. Evil ass Myriad. We'll have a quick little look at them, but we go over and look at the Beltane fighters. In fact, I might just look at them now. Just there's enough about them evil Myriads. Anyway, right, Beltane fighters. Just want to have a look at this because last year, when, yeah, I just get rid of that one and that one, may jump back into it. Right, look at this, the amount of stories that are just coming out this week again, fire. Right, I'll show you them all in a moment, but I want to just find, that's still a cancer patent, so I'll keep that one open. Let me just refresh this a moment as well, just to see how this story has developed, if it has developed. Not much. No. Fake news. People just waiting for the taxi. Right, just shoot that one as well. I was going to get broadcastify up, but it doesn't seem like anything's happening. I'll check out for an update on it though. That's okay. Keep this open. Right, fire. You all know it's Beltane. I want to get open. Canada Fires. I think that's the one that might be on one of my channels where I have shut down, in fact. No, that weren't my one. I've done a load of work on it. I'll get it up on the website maybe in a moment. Last year, when the Canada fires broke out, it wasn't just the Canada fires, the Manhattan Orthodox church fire. Right, huge blaze, Serbia. It was the Serbian one. But when we looked into this, the Church of Sava, it was Serbian Orthodox Church in downtown. Audience are celebrating Holy Easter. It took 170 firemen several hours to bring the 4-alarm blaze under control. Right. Smoke annihilation. The fire was pretty devilish. Now, it did break out in Beltane, if we have a look here. May the 2nd. So, we're on what now? This is the 2nd now. Yeah, it's the 2nd now. It was exactly a year ago today that this particular fire broke out. Now, a host of them broke out. One broke out over in Ukraine, and there was another couple. I also noticed a few fires here in the UK in like moorlands and stuff like this. So we're going to show you the way it's just happening. Just again, the way the little emphasis seems to all be on fire. Now we're in the middle of Beltane. Very sad day. There was a little bit of a cryptic corker hidden away in all of this fire. There was a few of them, to be honest with you. But one of them was the fact that it was Saint Sava, the Illuminator. Okay, 1 second. Bombshell. Yeah, there's me work here. And I've uploaded it to my new channel as well. Get in. What I also looked into though, we're all linked up all around the world, because at the same time as all of this was happening, Canada, British Columbia, Alberta, places like that over in Canada, they all broke out into huge, devastating bushfires. Now, when we look closer into Alberta, which is all in this video here, what I ends up finding over Alberta was symbolised by the owl. Oh, what's the Illuminati's owl that they use? It's just gone out of my head. Not sure, but that's what that was all symbolised by. So it all just ties in. A lot of things pointed there, but this Saint Sava, let me just get his Wikipedia page up. Saint Sava the Illuminator. Get his Wikipedia page up, as opposed to pressing play on any of that. But here he is again, look. Big sun behind his head. Look at the sun. All the crosses on him. Now this is who this church was in honour of. Look at it, yeah. In LifePath there it is over on Blogger. I've reposted it all this year, so I'm glad I've backed it up there. Right now, his Wikipedia page tells a little bit of a story. Serbian Orthodox Church, installed 1219, term ended 1235. Born 1169 or 1174. Birth name Rashko Nemanja. Died January 27, 1236. Buried May 6th. So we're coming up to that sort of date again. Signature. There's his signature. So let's just get into this a little bit. Saint Sava the Serbian, 1174 to 14 January 1236, known as the Enlightener. Just all the Illuminati, the Illuminator, the Enlightener. Lucifer was a Serbian prince and Orthodox monk, the first Archbishop of the auspicious Serbian Church, the founder of Serbian law, and the diplomat. Sava born Rashko was the youngest son of Serbian Grand Prince Stefan Nemanja, founder of the Nemanja dynasty, and ruled the appanage of Hum briefly 1190. There's a little 9/11. Don't know if we pick up on that in this video. Yeah, this is from last year, but on my newer channel. But I've uploaded it to the newer channel that is from my original channel. One that's been messed about, so I'm not sure whether to pick up on that little 9/11 in there. Probably do. He then left for Mount Athos, where he became a monk with the name Sava, Savas. Let's just have a look at what's. It's one of them mirrors. Look at it. It's got Aber in the middle, and then the S is the 2 and the 4, which is a 6/6. So 1 and 2, 2, 1. That then. And 6, 6, 2, 4. Sorry, I was just thinking out loud then. At Athos, he established the monastery of Hilanda, which became the most important cultural and religious centres of the Serbian people. In 1219, he was recognised as the first Serbian archbishop by the patriciate, and the same year he became authored the oldest known constitution of Serbia, Zakon Pravilo, thus securing religions and political. Sava is regarded as the founder of the Serbian medieval literature. Let's just see what else it says, just skim down then. On arriving at Athos, he entered the Russian monastery where he received a monastic name of Sava, and according to a tradition as a Russian monk who was guested the Serbian court with Antoine Vaisopedi monastery. His father tried to persuade him to return to Serbia. Sava replied to his father, "You have accomplished all that a Christian sovereign should do. Come now, join me in the true Christian life." 1196, March 25th. He summoned the assembly at Studentia and abdicated on March 25th, giving the throne to his middle son Stefan. The next day, Nemanja and his wife Anna took monastic vows. Nemanja took monastic, what's this? Monastic vows under the name Simeon. the religion, isn't it? Never heard monastic though. As a man, as a ruler, had donated much to the community. As a man, as a ruler, had donated much to the community. When Saba guested by Byzantine Emperor at Constantinople, now we're seeing a bigger picture, aren't we? He mentioned the neglected and abandoned Helena and asked him that he and his father be given a permit to restore the monastery and granted to Beltane. The emperor approved. So he was pally with them, unbelievable, and sent a special letter and much gold to his friend Stefan Dementia, the monk Simeon. Saba then addressed the proto of Athos, asking them to support the effort. Is that Greece? Said that up there, haven't I? Probably skimmed through the word. Asking them to support the effort that the monastery of Helena becomes through the haven of Serb monks. All Athonite monasteries except Beltane accepted the proposal, and in July 1198, Emperor Alexos III ordered the charter with revolt Emily's. Look at the pictures of them. Well, anyway, what that was just in relation to is because, just to remind anyone who might have just jumped in, that it did happen last year, which are covering all of this. This is one of the main triggers of the sort of research and the work from last year, was this man churches that burnt down, so we looked into him and then we find out that he's called, which struck me as very odd. Saint Sava, equal to apostles, the illuminator, Serbian archbishop, got the big sun behind his head, sun worship, same thing again, black and white duality, the two crosses. Repackaged again and again and again, this evil sun worship one, Babylonian belief. You can see was Pali with the Turks, and then one of the biggest empires ever to rule, and one of the longest ruling ones as well. And that's why you just feel Turkey are going to play another part in all of this. Another country, because you know that a lot of their history is basically, and that's the history of the Scots. They've got a lot of history. Maybe it's been hidden on purpose, but I know that there's going to be a lot there. So I am going to start looking into Scotland a lot, because the country needs or deserves a lot of respect, basically, but at the same time, there's going to be a lot of evil hidden there. But I'm going to find out exactly what is there and what's played out on the world stage from Scotland as well. So we will see a lot of stuff in him. As a little means take her up its own direction, right? So the fires, again, this is just today. This is just today's one. Plough Lane fire. What happened today is a former Domination track just went ablaze this morning. There was a firefight. Look, 6 engines, 35 firefighters battled the blaze. That was the scumbag, I didn't realise. Right. Family left with nothing after candles lit by a teenager caused the fire. This is in Manchester. I'm not saying that these are the fire known as the Beast. Now look, the way they called all these fires which I'm talking about in this video from a year ago. Just dragging that up again. Now what we were saying, dragging this one up again, the Fort Murray one. What we were saying about that one at the time, the way all the trees went up in flames, it was almost as if it was the chemtrails that had done that. The trees were flammable, and the way it burned and the way it burned hot, that's why. So yeah, look, here's another story which broke a few hours ago. Updates as university building evacuated after a fire. Okay, and teenage arsonist responsible for 155,000 Suffolk barn fire. Wantley Stables in High Road Timely, which began. Right. Now here's another one of these little sort of moorland type of fires. Firefighters tackled 50-acre gorse fire at Gwynedd village for nearly, so they were just saying a few hours. German Defence Minister under fire, that's nothing. More people under fire. Essex house fire leaves 2 boys, scumbag paper again. Let's have a look. Lorry fire sends smoke billowing across Maryhill. Sadger in Humberside. Severe fire guts house in Springthorpe. I'm just looking now because fire at 2-story building near the Milton Keynes College, Bletchley campus. Look at that, that's a big one. It's the bigger ones that I'm looking at. Business burnt out after a fire in an industrial unit. This is just the UK. In pictures, look what's popped up next. Beltane Fire Festival welcomes in the summer. Fire service investigating northeast farm blaze. Shed fire. However, when the appliances arrived, it was well developed fire, 100 foot. I wonder if there was animals in that, because you've got to sacrifice children and animals and fire as part of the Beltane Fire Festival, which I'm going to get into. Dulverton home severely damaged by fire which ripped through. With dozens of firefighters battled farmhouses. Fire in Aberdeenshire, Scotland, that was yesterday. Golf course fire, yeah, so that was yesterday. Police standoff as well, right there. Fire crews called to a blaze in Much Love Liverpool Dolls Hospital. Ah. That's a little bit closer to home, that one as well. Kitchen fire at Washington Court near Stoke. And huge woodland blaze. A little build up. Let's just look at this this Doll's House one. Basically just telling you to watch the news for all these subliminal ones that they'll fire out at you. This was Liverpool on Sunday night after the blaze broke out at the famous shop. Tackled the flames. Students living in the flats above the shop were also evacuated. Here's the pictures before the page goes off. So sure, that window open, so I need to open my page. Come over into there a second. The false flag, Canadian false flag. What was this? Someone else in 2014, not to do with the fires. Don't need him. That was a good video though. I'll get the link into the into the chat now and the description. Let's have a look. There's the video here. I'm into the chat here. Link into the unbelievable, Jeff. Hello, Mr. Cupid Stunt and Charlie Dillon. Right, it says every couple of seconds the vid pauses. Thought it was my internet, so I opened another YouTube page and it played perfect. Is it still giving you these problems, Charlie? And are you still here? I still need to look into the cancer side of things, but it's easy to get the links back open for that. DNA has a little look into that one. I still want to look at a little bit of the brain, to be honest with you, and definitely going to still be looking into World War III. You can't say it, you can't even put it in your title, you just go no and just demonetize you straight away. So let's just have a little look what else we find as we go along. But yeah, I've got the chat window open now. I haven't had it open all the way through this broadcast. Right, where am I going to go through now? Stop using that. It makes too much noise on the computer. Use my mouse. So I got it for you, so I didn't go. Right. Beltane. I'm gonna have a little look at the World War III and just speak about this fiasco. This is one of the most fakest things I've ever seen in my whole entire life, to be honest with you. I'm not even scared of any missiles dropping on me one tiny bit. The fear-mongering's unbelievable. It is. It's quite unbelievable. North Korea vows to nuke this country first if World War III breaks out. These have posted about 150 stories of World War III. North Korea this, North Korea that. North Korea claims Japan trying to invade and threatens to obliterate it. So he must fire out, right, 75 press release statements every single day because of the amount of stories that these are pushing out. Okay, North Korea live news updates as Kim Jong-un threatens World War III. Let's have a look what this is saying, because this reckons it's a live update. Revealed he threatens World War III with Trump. The last thing that we've seen was Donald Trump inviting, saying, "Oh, Kim Jong-un, little Kim, we'll have a cup of tea and we'll talk about this. Should we meet? I'll be honoured to meet you." Like it's a celebrity, like it's an X Factor or something. Like, I don't know, it's just all...
Mr. President, you and the administration said to North Korea, don't test a missile. They have tested a missile. Is the pressure not working?
Well, I didn't say don't test a missile. He's going to have to do what he has to do. But he understands we're not going to be very happy. And I will tell you, a man that I've gotten to like and respect, the president of China, President Xi, I believe has been putting pressure on him also. But so far,
President Xi,
perhaps nothing's happened, and perhaps it has. This was a small missile. This was not a big missile. This was not a nuclear test, which he was expected to do 3 days ago. We'll see what happens.
You say not happy. What does that mean?
I would not be happy. If he does a nuclear test, I will not be happy. And I can tell you also, I don't believe that the president of China, who is a very respected man, will be happy either.
Not happy mean military action?
I don't know. I mean, we'll see.
I know. I mean, we'll see. Let me show you something that always plays on my mind every single time I see that bastard talking. Right. Oh, what is it? Right. Enchanted LifePath then. What I've just typed in then is Illuminati commercial Call of Duty Enchanted LifePath, but I think I might have to put Modern Warfare. Alright. There we go. And It's not showing me the one on my new channel. Now what this is, pretty self-explanatory. Its sick Illuminati TV commercial is identical to Advanced Warfare FEMA camp cutscene. Let's have a little watch of this for a moment. People may have seen this, people may have popped up and watched this, but she's going to show you what Donald Trump makes me think. And when I think about him saying, and we're going to make America great again, and his little, all she was saying is, I'm going to war. He was just beating war drums as loud and clear as ever. So let's just have a little look at what I see related to him and Donald Trump and everything and all of this.
Fear not, for your war-stricken, poverty-ridden planet.
Fear not for your war-stricken, poverty-ridden planet. That's the first opening lines. Oh, thanks. You want to give me a cuddle? Illuminati cuddle?
You are safe. Help.
So we're safe.
Is on the way.
So they had problem, and then solution, and reaction or problem. Reaction, solution, sorry.
Your prosperity is the core objective of our universal design.
Our prosperity is the core objective of their universal design. Like they designed the universe.
The path for humanity has spanned throughout ages to ensure the survival and prosperity of the human species.
So that's the meaning of life, in a nutshell.
War is a liar who claims.
It just says, like, it just makes it like, you know what, like with big USB sticks, all we're here for is just the process, pass on genes and data and knowledge, and that's it. So what's this big question, like the meaning of life? Because if that's the meaning, what's the meaning of this life? That's more of a question. What's the meaning of this life? And it is basically just to do that what I've just said. So how does everyone run around like asking it like it's the biggest unanswered question ever? I'm sorry for jumping into this, but I am still trying to jump around copyrights with this crabby video because I know what they're like. They're all over it.
There isn't enough land, isn't enough wealth, isn't enough food for all people in all places to live in abundance. A different age is upon us. Fear not for the bursting suns. Go across your red horizons. Prepare your life for the light that grows steadily brighter in the distance. As the dawn comes to rid your battlefields of darkness, the age of Illuminatium will begin. Fear nothing. We are always watching out for you. To find out
Unbelievable, Jeff.
more about our organization and your part in the universal design, visit Illuminati.am.
Right, I'm sorry for the plug, but here's the punchline.
This just in, you're looking at what is a very disturbing lot.
Seattle, first screen. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 lights, and Seattle being the 13th one.
Live shot there. That is the Vectron Pacific React.
See? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. This is now gone green, active.
Here near Seattle, we have 107 reports.
Now Detroit's gone live. Green light over Detroit. We're looking at the little maps, just trying to see what's over the little evil maps. Let's just see if this has got HD settings. Should have. No. We better download it off YouTube, that. I've uploaded this in HD, obviously, first time round. I'll find the original and upload it again. I would have had better shots at all of this, yeah. So the start of the Illuminati advert come on saying war and just saying you're all pieces of shit basically, and we're gonna come and save the day. More places have gone live now. This is attacks that are going to happen or that are happening, simultaneous attacks that take place in the game. We may look at the game in a moment, but look at the charts here. It is quite airy. We've got Munich. Where have we seen attacks going off? Got Berlin. We've seen them going off in Munich and Berlin. When the attack happens in Berlin, I dragged it up as being the throne of Satan, Pergamon. Look it up in the Bible. There's, if you're also going to EnchantedLifePath.com, you will, and just type in throne of Satan, Berlin. You'll find my article and video about that. London. Well, getting sick of it. But only this year, something happens in London, Munich, Tokyo, Moscow. You know what? We don't see much of the news in Tokyo, but stuff does happen there. Stuff does happen there quite a lot. On the bigger picture, Fukushima. No, because this was post Fukushima, I think, this game. Paris, though, we've had a lot happening in Paris. Moscow down here. Madrid, Beijing, Brussels, just about to come up over here. Just under Paris here, we can see Brussels just coming in. Definitely was Brussels coming into the picture then. BR. Beijing, Rome. I'm not sure what that says there. ATH.
It is raw footage appears.
Athens. Say yeah. Not sure. Not sure. That's definitely Madrid, Berlin. Cairo's next. Cairo.
Some kind of statement from KVA leader Hades.
Now the KVA leader Hades, this is the statement from him. I don't want to ruin this too much, so we'll just tie this part up and let you hear this play out.
Fellow citizens of the world, today you are afraid. You are afraid because you have been woken from your sleep.
There are some days we never forget. Moments burned into our memory until...
It's just the same. This is now where it takes shape of the same sort of dialect, same narrative as the Illuminati advert from the start. Fear not. Look at the state of everything. We're going to come along and save the day. But look the way this little twist comes, because this Kevin Spacey character plays a big part in all of this. He comes along, he's going to save the day, clean all this mess up, put everyone in FEMA camps, and look at the FEMA camps, save the day. And then what does he do? He's in charge. Kev Spacey, the big corporate man, big corporation man, gets hold of all of this technology, and what does he do with it?
The day we die, where were you? The day everything changed. 4 years ago, one man tried to destroy our way of life. One man tried to throw the world into darkness.
4 years ago, but the way these sickos work, they flip everything. So flip this game, the release of this game, forward 4 years. I'm thinking it was 3 years ago. Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. Call of Duty Advanced. Where's the Wikipedia? They lie, but guys, released November the 4th, 11/4/44, 2014, but a special edition titled Day Zero Edition, which came out with the pre-guns game, was released on November the 3rd, 3/11/33. Day Zero. Right, So 4 years on from then, put it into next year, isn't it? Maybe, never know, but just watch the plot in the game, actually, just while we're here for a moment, because I touched on it a couple of weeks ago about something. I just want to show you the plot line now, not the gameplay, the campaign, multiplayer, right there, all these zombies, single player campaign. In 2054, there's Lucas Spacey there, United States Marine Corps, best friends, Private First Class Jack Mitchell and Private Will Irons take part in a massive drop shock raid to repel an invasion against the North Koreans in Seoul. Under the command of Sergeant Cormac Russell Richardson, during the firefight, Will is killed in action after protecting Mitchell, who has his left arm severed and discharged, blah, 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 all this. But, right, meanwhile, the terrorist group named the KVA, led by a technophobic named Joseph Hades Shahadzi, Sharif Ibrahim, begins staging numerous terrorist attacks with the world turned to Atlas, owned by him, Kevin Spacey, to stop them. Mitchell, along with Gizzy and Joker and other Atlas soldiers, rescue the Nigerian Prime Minister in a capture and capture a KVA technologist in Lagos during the technology summit. However, by 2055, the KVA's attacks would become more sophisticated, and Mitchell and his team failed to prevent a KVA from forcing a nuclear reactor meltdown on Bainbridge Island, Washington. The KVA launched simultaneous attacks against nuclear power plants worldwide, irradiating numerous cities, killing thousands of people and putting national governments and militaries in turmoil, took all the bridges out. Atlas emerges as the dominant military force in the world. Atlas are like I said, one of these contracted futuristic armies, bought soldiers, mercenaries. One's like what Metal Gear Solid told us about. He owned them all. This man, he's in charge, right? The Donald Trump of the world, of the timeline, of the game. So they go into that hazy, they kill him. Atlas, the name is saying. Why did it say that the name is saying? Might have been Alice. Bulgaria. Basically, though, it all just breaks out, all hell breaks loose. He goes and invades, where they're invading Korea. It's all with Korea and everything. But he comes and saves the day. That's what he does. Hades launches all the attacks. He comes in to save the day, but then he doesn't save the day. He doesn't save the day. What he really does is he turns on everyone, tries to put everyone in FEMA camps and just he's the one who turns all the armies and all the weapons against everyone, basically. So it's nuts. It's nuts to foreshadowing. Let's just watch it play out.
It felt like we could never find our way back. But we did. Together. When you were vulnerable, we gave you our strength. When you were sick, we delivered you the cure. When there was chaos, we brought you order.
Vaccinated everyone, put these cell phone towers on everywhere, spray everywhere with chemtrails, make everyone queue up to get vaccinated. They create the war, make a little fake war, and they create the queues. And instead of just gassing everyone, like you can't even say what I was trying to say then. I was going to say something. So this time we just get everyone to queue up and stamp them all and put the little chips in everyone and then vaccinate them. Quarantined. Nuts.
Stability, safety, a chance to start again.
It's used that mess everything up, though.
Who are we?
Atlas. Han River, Seoul's history stretches back more than 2,000 years when it was founded in 18 BCE by Baekje, one of the three kingdoms of Korea. It continues as the capital of Korea under the Joseon dynasty. The Seoul capital area contains 5 UNESCO World Heritage Sites: Cheondeok Palace, Hwasong Fortress, Jongmyo Shrine, Namahancheong, and the royal tombs of the Joseon dynasty. Seoul is surrounded by mountains, the tallest being Mount Bucha. Sorry, I was looked over at these buildings. The world's most visited national park per square foot. Modern landmarks include the Ionic Shoal Tower, the reason why I looked into this because no. Sheol. Sheol is in the Hebrew Bible, a place of darkness which all the dead go to, both the righteous and the unrighteous, regardless of the moral choices made in life, a place of stillness and darkness cut off from life from God. The inhabitants of Sheol are the shades, Hades, like what we've just watched.
You are afraid. You are afraid because you have been woken from your sleep.
Rephaim. Entities without personality or strength. Under some circumstances, they are thought to be able to be contacted by the living, as the Witch of Ender contacts the shade of Shmuel, or for his soul, called Saul. Okay? Seen that now? No Breaking Bad? Right there. If I open too many things up here, this normally cuts off. All the trap souls down there. Right, let's have a look at this. Saul, King of Israel. Right, let's have another little look at this. Call. Unbelievable. It's nuts. I used to like Breaking Bad. I didn't know it zoomed in that much. Right. Right. The article is about King Saul, a biblical figure. For other uses, see Saul. Only looking at this because, as I said, all of this World War III stuff that's kicking off and the emphasis all on Korea. She's looking at Saul for the obvious reasons, and then I wanted to go and show you Sheol. A lot of people will know about it. Sometimes I would like just people who've never seen nothing like this ever just to go, and stumble on this channel sometimes and teach them something, right? But anyway, so Sheol. I'm going to finish reading this one a little bit, but the contact, as the Witch of Ender contacts the shade of Samuel for Saul, but such practices are forbidden. While the Old Testament writings appear to describe Sheol as the permanent place of the dead, in the Second Temple period, roughly 500 BC, 700 AD, a more diverse set of ideas. You know what, I need to come over and just see. Is it the promoted video for the New World Order? Charlie, that video, it was on a website called Illuminati.org or something like that at the time. And it was one of them you were watching it like thinking, is this a fake website? Have they just like literally come out now and just tried to promote themselves? It was weird. It was a weird one at the time. That's why I was like, I uploaded it. and stuck the two videos together because it was one of them. I wasn't quite sure. It tells you the website. I don't want to go too far, of course. I can shut that now. Official website for followers, the Illuminati, the First Testament. So it's just an official website for followers. Was whether the same video still on? Yeah.
Fear not, for your war-stricken, poverty-ridden.
It's the most insulting thing you'll ever hear.
Planet.
Let's just hear the tone of that again.
Fear not, for your war-stricken, poverty-ridden planet.
Fear not for your war-stricken, poverty-ridden planet. Nice one.
You are safe.
Doesn't feel like it. Watching this, we are always watching out for you. Explore our official citizen website to learn more about the Illuminati members' beliefs, traditions, and current day-to-day operations, and to read digital archives for our public messages. This is in fact one of the very first videos I ever uploaded to YouTube. This one, the original one. Yeah, I'll drop the link in as well for you. Even better. Right. But yeah, that's that question answered, Merrick. Right, where are we? The Illuminati archive, the pendulum of power, the maze of existence, just millions of people from all walks of life have committed themselves to the Illuminati's global network for the betterment of human species by forgiving all divisions of religion, geographical, political beliefs. Followers of the Illuminati I am strive to form a planet where all people in all places can live in abundance. Just a book or something, isn't it? Terms of use, contact them. Illuminati I am 2017. Ranking members of the Illuminati do not accept interview requests at this time from any press or media. Any request will remain pending until this status changes. This page is for members of the press and media only. Emails sent to LIRIM staff are not forwarded to any member of the Illuminati under any circumstances. To contact the organisation, visit this page. They've covered themselves for not having any contact to the Illuminati or any of its members. I could just put that up. And just, do you know what I mean? Put ranking members of the, I don't know, anyone you want. You pick a company, Sony, NATO. Not too confident in that, but not sure though, as you said, it's just your poverty-stricken planet. Anyway, Sheol, let's just finish reading this. This is interesting. Rich man and Lazarus depicting a rich man in hell asking Abraham for help. Oh, why does a rich man end up in hell? It's considered the home of both the righteous and the wicked, separated into two respective compartments. In others, it was considered a place of punishment, meant for the wicked dead alone. When the Hebrew scriptures were translated into Greek and ancient Alexandria around 20 BC, the word Hades, that's the Greek version. So that, when we seen it flashing up in here, like, did Greece pop up? Or was it just his name, Hades? That's why we end up over here. And then when they're showing you like attacks in Korea and war starting to kick off, the Greek underworld, Hades, hell, was substituted for Sheol, and this is reflected in the New Testament, where Hades is both the underworld of the dead and the personification of the evil it represents. Now, let's just have another little look, because it should be showing us something else as well. The common grave of humans. The Babylonians had a similar underworld called Aralu, and the Greeks had one known as Hades. Biblical Hebrew, the Greeks had one. Hebrew culture, Sorry for just skim reading through Wikipedia a little bit. Just when I'm on. Right, so Sheol, I still want to show the little depiction, just a little depiction of it. I haven't done it. 1888. Dun dun dun. There's your Saturn, Satan. Look at the picture there, you've got 1888, the Pied Piper. This is quite a good picture to look at. You've got a Pied Piper, got like what looks like the incubus on here. What's this here? The mountain. I want this picture. Save that. Open that. Wow, what was it called then? Joseph Ferdinand Kepler. Tells you here. Rapid transit. Now let's just open this so you can zoom in on it. Yeah. Now fix up, look sharp. Is he a Pied Piper or is he just a train man? Devil up there. Devils everywhere. People just coming in. What are these coming into? Into hell? Are they the souls or something? Or the little devils, little helpers? Horrible picture. I just think this is hell. This is Sheol where we are now. It's got to be. Right. Rich man and Lazarus. Saint Lazarus. The parable of the rich man and Lazarus, also called the Dives of Lazarus, or the Lazarus and the Dives, is a well-known parable of Jesus appearing in the Gospel of Luke. The Gospel of Luke, Luke 16:19, as above, so below, tells of the relationship between an unnamed rich man and a poor beggar named Lazarus. The traditional name Dives is not actually a name, but instead a word for rich man. Dives in the text of the Latin Bible, the Vulgate, and the rich man was also given the names of Neus and Phineas in the 3rd and 4th centuries, along with the parables of the 10 virgins, prodigal son, and the Good Samaritan. It was one of the most frequently illustrated parables in medieval art, perhaps because of its vivid account of an afterlife. angel, the sun there, sucking his spirit out of him. What way is it going? Is it like he's alright there? And then you come to get him as he dies in his bed, he had his suck his soul. He's looking down, passing judgment. And then instead of the angel, or is it just depicting both sides, the good and the bad one as well? The angel take him, or in this one, the demons take him up here if the angel takes him, which still comes from the sun. So it seems the angel takes him, and then he's with God. Or in this one, it looks like the demons have just took him, and he's in hell. Sure. What's this one like? In one of them, you get gifts. Look at the pillars. And the other one, you're in a dog kennel. I don't know. Don't know what that one's depicting, what order it's going in. Yeah, it tells you. Top panel, Lazarus at the rich man's poor man. Middle panel, Lazarus' soul is carried to paradise by two angels, Lazarus in Abraham's blossom. He's at the rich man's door. Bottom panel dives, which is the poor man, soul is carried off by two devils to hell. Dives with torches in Hades, Roman Catholic Church, June the 21st. Feast. Isn't the Roman Catholic Church lovely, eh? The time came when the beggar died and the angels carried him to Abraham's side. The rich man also died and was buried in Hades, where he was in torment. He looked up and saw Abraham far away with Lazarus by his side. So he called to him, Father Abraham, have pity on me and send Lazarus to dip the tip of his finger in water and cool my tongue, because I am in agony in this fire. But Abraham replied, Son, remember that in your lifetime you receive your good things, while Lazarus received bad things. But now he is comforted here and you are in agony. And besides all this, between us and you are a great chasm has been set in place, so that those who want to go from here to you cannot, nor can anyone cross over from here to us. He answered, Then I beg you, Father, send Lazarus to my family, for I have 5 brothers. Let him warn them, so that they will not also come to this place of torment. He replied, They have Moses and the prophets, let them listen to them. No, Father, Abraham said, but if someone from the dead goes to them, they will repent. He said to him, if they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, they will not be convinced, even if someone rises from the dead. There are different views on this historically, and the origin of the story, Rich Man and Lazarus. The story is unique to Luke and is not thought to come from hypothetical documents. Some Christians view the story of Lazarus and the rich man as not as a parable, but as an actual event which was related by Jesus to his followers. This was generally the view of the medieval church. Right, Saul. Saul was another name when we come up to the top. No, it wasn't in the Rich Man, the Lazarus post, it was in this one here. So, which started to contact the shade of Samuel for Saul, but such practices are forbidden. So that's how come he ends up on Saul here. So you call Saul, right? David plays the harp for Saul. Now, did you say the harp is I've heard them saying that the harp is like something to do with the devil as well. Just always that another thing what has been repackaged. We'll see now maybe. The article is about King Saul, but the biblical figure. For other uses, Saul disambiguation, Saul Hebrew as for pray for, Latin, Saul Arabic. I don't want to read all that, I hate them to the top again. According to the Hebrew Bible, was the first king of the kingdom of Israel and Judah. His reign, traditionally placed in the 11th century BCE, marks the transition from the tribal society to statehood. Saul's life and reign, look at this, and Saul in the actual in Breaking Bad said he gave himself a Jewish name because it was good for business. Saul's life and reign is described in the Hebrew Bible. He was anointed by the prophet Samuel and reigned from the Gibeah. He fell on his sword, committing suicide to avoid capture in the battle against the Philistines at Mount Gilboa, during which 3 of his sons were also killed. The succession to his throne was contested by Ishbosheth, his only surviving son, and his son-in-law David, who eventually prevailed. A similar yet different account of Saul's life may be given in the Quran. Neither the length of Saul's reign nor the extent of his territory are given in the Hebrew Bible. The former is traditionally fixed at 20 or 22 years, but there are no reliable evidence for such numbers. According to the Acts of the Apostles, Saul reigned for a period of 40 years. And them numbers, all the stories are little depictions, aren't they? Suppose, right, House, the king of Saul. According to the Tanakh, Saul was the son of Kish, not Cush, of the family of Matriates, and a member of the tribe of Benjamin and one of the 12 tribes of Israel. How many bloodlines is there now at the minute as well? The way chasing down 12 or 13 as well as 15. It appears that he came from the Gibeah. Saul married Ahinoam, daughter of the Ahimaaz, as they had 4 sons and 2 daughters. The sons were Jonathan, Abinadab, Malchishua, and Ishbosheth. The daughters were named whatever they were named. Saul also had a concubine named Rizpah, daughter of Aiah, who bore 2 sons. Death of Saul, 1848, Germany and France. Planned military action against the Philistines. Samuel said that he would arrive in 7 days to perform the requisite rites. When a week passed with no word of Samuel and the Israelites, growing restless, Saul prepared for battle by offering sacrifices. Samuel arrives just as Saul is finishing sacrificing and reprimands Saul for not obeying his instructions. Is this what it... Don't know, are we overlaying here? What are we overlaying with? Why have we ended up on this story? What time of year did this happen at? Did this story happen this time of year? 1533. Let's have a look. Let's keep reading. When Samuel learned that Saul has not obeyed his instructions, he informed Saul that God rejected him as king due to disobedience. As Samuel turns to go, Saul seizes hold of his garment and tears off a piece. Samuel prophesies that the kingdom will likewise be torn from Saul. Samuel then kills the Amalek king himself and leaves Saul and David. Saul is troubled by an evil spirit sent by God. He requests soothing music, and his servant recommends David, the son of Jesse, who was renowned as a skillful harpist and a soldier. When the words of Saul's needs reach Jesse, he sends David, who had been looking after the flock, and David is appointed as Saul's armor bearer and remains at a court playing the harp. The Philistines return with an army to attack Israel. Goliath, right there, sorry, jumped a line ahead. and the Philistine and the Israelite forces gather on opposite sides of the valley. The Philistines champion Goliath issues a challenge for single combat, but none of the Israelites accept. Remember when they found the gates of Goliath, or the gates of God? Dun, dun, dun. They found them anyway, there they are. I did cover it as well at the time. Gutted that my thing hasn't popped up. Let's just check. Stephen James. There's millions of them. Steve James. Millions of these, he says. I agree. That video still does well, low, still does well. So, more awareness being raised. Call Saul, just thought to read all this out. I'm still looking for something. No, can't just help but think there's going to be the little overlaying thing. It's Donald Trump story overlaying with him going and attacking Israel and whatever. I don't know. David is described as a young shepherd who happens to be delivering food to his 3 eldest brothers in the army, and he hears Goliath's challenge. David speaks mockingly of the Philistines to some soldiers. His speech is overheard and reported to Saul, who summons David as a champion. So Saul, king of Israel, goes and appoints David, and he goes and fights him with the slingshot, David and Goliath. David easily defeats Goliath with a single shot from a sling. So is that like, what a North Korea just kind of just go and just go and sink America with a single shot, like an EMP or something? There's a backstory, there's something overlaying in this. Saul offered his elder daughter Merab and his wife, now popular David, and his victory over Goliath, but David demurred. David distinguishes himself in the Philistine wars. Upon David's return from battle, the woman praised him in song. Saul has slain his thousands, and David his tens of thousands, implying that David is the greater warrior. Saul fears David's growing popularity and henceforth views him as a rival to the throne. Saul's son Jonathan and David become close friends. Jonathan recognizes David as the rightful king and made covenant with David because he loved him as his own Jonathan even gives David his military clothes, symbolizing David's position as a successor to Saul. And then what did they all start? On 2 occasions, Saul threw a spear at David as he played the harp for Saul. David becomes increasingly successful and Saul becomes increasingly resentful. Now Saul actively plots against David. Saul offered his other daughter Michal in marriage to David. David initially rejects his offer, also claiming he is too poor. Saul offers to accept a bride price of 100 Philistine foreskins. What? Intending that David die in the attempt. Instead, David obtains 200 foreskins and his consequentiality married to Michal. Saul sends assassins in the night, but Michal helps him escape, tricking them by placing a household idol in his bed. David flees to Jonathan, who arranges a meeting with his father while dining with Saul. Jonathan explains David's absence, saying he has been called away to his brothers, but Saul sees through the ruse and reprimands Jonathan for protecting David, warning him that his love of David will cost him the kingdom. The next day, Jonathan meets with David and tells him Saul's intent. The 2 friends say their goodbyes. David flees into the countryside. Saul later marries Michal to another man. Saul is later informed by his head shepherd, Doeg the Edomite, that the priest Thought we'd go and look into that one for a minute anyway. February the 8th to 8th. Call Saul. How many episodes? 5. I haven't actually watched Better Call Saul anyway, but things there for you. Right, another little search what I wanted to do. Done the fire, done the Beltane one. That's a quick little skim over that. Just to tell you, just to keep your eyes. I'm using the computer again. Need to use this, the noise out of it. Right, I'm just going to show you how bonkers this is. World War III. We've already got this open, haven't we? Before. See them all. Every 10 seconds, new stories, new stories. I said the Daily Star must have just been printing stories off every 5 seconds. It's unbelievable. Let's just have a quick little skim into the air. Hello, hola, the Mexican. Everyone needs to make a 180 back to kindness again. Do you know what, right? Some things I've been thinking lately. The first thing I done when I become sort of awakened, when I began all of this, was I found all the good stuff first. That's the first thing. It does exactly the same thing. Well pointed out, Charlie says, just for the sake of the video, because Charlie Dillon says Israel and Philistines sounds like Israel and Palestinians. I'm so sorry. The Mexicans just jumped in with another hello. He said, blessings to all. MSR 313. Hola has come over as well. So, what I've just come back in here for right now as well. What have I come back for? I was going to go over to the, that's what I was doing. I was going to go over to just go to World War III. And then, if you go up to the top here, just under the search thing, when you click here, and just go last hour, and just gauge it, and just keep gauging how many reports actually are coming out all the time, 13 minutes ago, yeah, and put that next to this. And when you start going down and down and down and down and down, you start seeing the same papers using the same photograph on all the same articles, lots and lots of times, right? So what that tells you, this is all a little bit bonkers. It's all a little bit short of control. There's a lot of secret plans and secret warships and secret new weapons, which are not secret because crappy little newspapers like these or these. Nuke bunkers in Britain that you could hide in if World War III revealed £1 million nuclear shelters are laying underneath our feet across the UK, ready and waiting for World War III. Oh, is that what they're waiting for? So when they fire a fake missile and go, it's World War III, everyone run. Look at this, look at the picture. That borderline triangle there, an Illuminati triangle. So, everyone run into these bunkers. Go on, it's all just runs down into them and just gas everyone. Behave. Heard that before. North Korea ready for World War III satellite images. So they're showing you, yeah, let's look at these satellite images that show you how ready they are for World War III. Because, like, to be ready for World War III, you're going to have to be pretty ready. I mean, like, all your people are all going to have to be gone. Oh, look, they're ready for World War III. They're still showing you this. Water being pumped from a portal. Oh my God. Someone else has released another video of him still just looking through his binoculars. The same edited crap with the same people talking over in the same music. Not a new bit of footage has ever come out. They show you all the same little crappy drills. They've been showing you America and South Korea's war drills, war game drills from last year, where they were shooting targets and blow up tanks, inflatable tanks on the mountains and stuff. They're still showing you footage like that this year as part of all this propaganda. So what's going on? What's going on? I think this war's a load of crap, to be honest with you. How ready for war they are. They're pumping water. They've got more net canopies. People walking around. North Portal. So this is ready for World War III. There's some more images. If both barges were acquired at the same time, it was implied that Pyongyang had planned more of an extensive, yeah. I said extensive and then went to turn it to expensive and then changed it to extensive again in one breath. Test program that it has conducted so far. This looks ready for World War III. I mean, like, are we ready for World War III now? I take it like we're ready for World War III then as well. Look, I'm ready for World War III. Better go and put the kettle on. Shit, we're ready for World War III, look. This is April 19th, when this was all from. First day, the little season, what we're in now. Oh, look, more pictures of him with his binoculars, which you'll probably find this picture. Search Google for that image. You'll probably won't find this picture posted up that many times. Probably not a new picture. Yeah, there it is, there, flipped, there it is, there the other way. Very similar pictures. Let's see if this is from last year or something. Please, 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 please. January 5th, 2017, an article using that picture. Uh-oh. But you have people like this. All they've done is flip that one. Telling us tensions have been high for weeks. Look, he's got his binoculars out again. Major conflict with North Korea is possible over its nuclear and ballistic missiles program. More hype propaganda. They could have taken those photos of a classroom wall and told you anything as long as you fall for it. Months now, threats back and forth for a while. More USA bases spread around the world, ready for keeping the people under control. And they roll out the new world order, counter bases, war, what war. There you go. I did actually pull all of that up about the US bases a few weeks ago, but brilliantly well said. Spike 1, 2, 3. Couldn't have put it myself. How many World War III stories can you cram into a single day's worth of stories? It gets more like a pantomime every day. It does. Well said. That's just normal people, voice of the people speaking. And that's the crap that we're getting ploughed with. I've got that much World War III stuff coming around in my head at the moment. I can't even think straight. I'm just bad at everything else, all the distractions and everything. It's like we're under mad frequency attacks. Something else, some frequency. Frequency attack patterns. Mitigating denial of service attacks using patterns, detection and denial of service. Testing frequency control. Frequency selective automatic gain control of what? Human. Let's put the word human in, shall we? Uh-oh. Patterns that affect thoughts, emotions, memory. Well, we know all that's coming with the brain net. All that's coming anyway. Let's have a little look at one of these actual patterns of mind control. US pattern methods of changing a person's behaviour and methods of conditioning a person's unconscious mind in order to affect a desired change in the person's behaviour, which does not require the service of a trained therapist. Instead, the person to be treated views a programme of video pictures appearing on a screen. The programme is viewed by the person's unconscious mind, acts to condition the person's thought patterns in a manner which alters the person's behaviour in a positive way. Positive way. The world's gone nuts. Judge Judy Wall, Source Judy Wall, Mike Coyle and Jan Wiseman, Paranoia Magazine issue, whatever. US patents 572. Subliminal message generator, combined subliminal and superliminal message generator for use with television receiver permits complete control of subliminal messages and their manner of presentation. A video synchronization detector enables video display generator to generate a video message signal corresponding to a received alphanumeric text message in synchronism with a received television signal. We all know all this exists, but just try and show you. Let's have a look. I want to see a little bit something more official. When you come over to the Google Patterns pages, these are normally quite good. I had one open before showing you. But I never showed you today. Cancer pattern, watch, cancer. Right, look at these sickos. Basically what this says is cancer, AIDS, everything, there's patterns gone in, showing you. Proves medical value, whatever. Shows you that there's patterns gone in, which just says cannabis and cannabinoids. Shows it can just wipe out everything. AIDS, glaucoma, depression, insomnia. I know that's what they classify it as there in that line, but at the same time, it's more effective, less expensive, much safer than any drugs currently used in place. But it can provide excellent relief for those who suffer from cancer, AIDS, glaucoma, multiple sclerosis, chronic pain, arthritis, rheumatism, asthma. But another one, which the more official documents which I was looking at, drags up the fact. It starts saying, watch. Is this the one? It starts mentioning things like dementia. So I'll make this a bit bigger for you. Get you the number as well if I can now. In fact, let's drop the link in. And then take your own little searches off as well if you want to go and have a look at documents like this, which you can just drag up quite easily. MSR 313, thank you. That's what I was saying, sorry, I got myself off track before the Mexican, but the first thing that I started, I found all the good stuff first. And it was all like the law of attraction and everything. And lo and behold, I noticed changes in my life, thoughts that become things. I could vouch for that. So, but then at the same time, I found all this stuff then, all this weird stuff and this, not weird stuff, the sort of the bad side of it all, found all of that as well. And if you look at like when I first set up Enchanted LifePath, things I used to say, things I wrote about how I was going to take Enchanted LifePath, you wouldn't think it'd just be like predominantly chasing down the bad things. As I like to have spent more time showing people the good stuff, I would have, because I know all that's there as well. It's got to be, it has got to be, but it just seems the way the world's gone, the way information's gone at the minute, well, certainly where I certainly am, it just seems to be like exposing all the bad stuff and everything. Let's bring the good stuff to the light, like you say. And that is, again, the great education, because the great education might not be teaching everyone the bad things, to highlight them. Might be, look, because it used to be a way like, look, if there's a good, there's got to be a bad, but now it's like, it's like the good's lost now. And just where is it? So if you could like say, look, well, all this bad's going on, but there's got to be good, and highlight the good again. But it might take another 3 or 4 years to go and do that, because it just seems to me to be a little bit lost, you know, it does. That might just be, I can only speak for myself, can't I? World War III, US bombers reportedly buzzed North Korean airspace. North Korea is now showing that they are ready for World War III, but they're not. But they're not going to be showing that they're ready for World War III, are they? Because all they're going to be showing you is these same little scratchy interviews. Look. Yeah, let's just go and have a look at this stupid ass. Look, the HIV and dementia, that's basically just what I wanted to get. The fact that they're saying patents, there's loads of them now showing you that they cure everything. It's not just cancer, it's dementia and everything. Right, just want to go to enchantedlifepath.com a moment. Look at the dates, quite recent. I was going to be looking into the frequency attacks, the patents on them as well, weren't I? But just while I'm here, just trying to piss on this little North Korean parade a minute. I want to show you the live news. If your country is ready for World War III, the live news channels, you'd expect them to be like, oh, well, look, we're in World War III, yeah. Look, I want to take a Filipino woman. I mentioned Filipinos or something like. Right. North Korea. Yeah, there's something else which I've just been doing, North Korea. And the Rothschild Central Banking Cartel, more smoke and mirrors. To me, all of this big news around the now saying North Korea have got no central bank. I'm like, okay, let's go and look at the bank in North Korea then. Let's see why they're so anti-Illuminati. But I don't know what to make of this really. But that is just something else for me to look into in a moment. There's right now. What I want to show you is there's a couple of articles back, to be honest with you. Bastard. I got one open there. Yeah, there is the live streams. I've just put one of the North Korean live news channels on. And sometimes just go and have a little look over at this. But if you want to see where it is, it's on the website there. It's easy to find. On the homepage, you just see it on the top of the screen, like. Where I've just got it. North Korean news, live 24/7, World War III build-up, live news, streams. But there's these absolute clowns going on. Just want to see the big euphoria, everyone's ready for war.
오늘은 북한이 세계 최대 위협이라고 말했습니다. 미국 중진 의원들은 지금은 북한과의 대화가 아니라 압박이 필요한 때라고 입을 모았습니다. 워싱턴에서 김희준 특파원입니다.
적절한 상황이 되면 북한 김정은과 대화하겠다고 밝힌 트럼프 대통령. 이튿날 폭스뉴스와의 인터뷰.
Do you know what's funny about this though? I don't even know what she's just been trying to tell the people of Korea then, but video North Korea's fake World Cup final. Oh God. When they told everyone that they won the World Cup. Told everyone they won the World Cup. They were showing all the Koreans pictures of black and white telly from the 1966 World Cup and all sorts of stuff. But who knows that woman when you've got stuff like that going on? He said that shows the country is beating Japan 7-0, USA 4-0, and China 2-0. It even shows footage of Kim Jong-un stood in front of a group of cheering football fans. Sadly, when the North Korean leadership have vivid imaginations when it comes to installing nationalistic pride in their people, it appears this news report is one step too far. He said that they beat Brazil in the final or something. North Korean news broadcasters appeared on the YouTube channel Korean News back up telling North Koreans that their national team will play Portugal in the World Cup final tonight. So, I'm not too sure what she's telling people. Or if it's even anyway. Come on, Donald.
북한 정권이 인류의 위협이라는 트럼프 대통령의 과거 발언을 언급하며 중국이 더 많은 일을 할 수 있을 것으로 생각한다고 밝혔습니다.
I think there's other things they can do diplomatically and economically to send a clear signal.
김정은의 이복형인 김정남 살해 사건도 언급하며 이제 북한은 미국뿐 아니라 중국에도 큰 위협이라고 지적했습니다.
It happens to be that the leader of North Korea's half brother was living in China when he was brutally murdered at the airport.
지난 1985년 시진핑 주석의 미국 방문 이후 이어온 30년 우정이 주중대사 역할에 걸림돌이 될 것이라는 비판을 의식해 불공정 무역 문제 해결에 적극 나서겠다는 입장도 밝혔습니다.
I want to do everything I can to make sure that we stop the unfair and illegal activities that we've seen from China.
미중 정상회담 이후 거의 매일 중국의 대북 압박을 강조하고 있는 트럼프 대통령. 시진핑 주석의 30년 직위를
Sorry, this is a bit Chinese, but I'm going to go and just make myself a cup of coffee a moment because I need a little bit of a break, but I do want to stay on. So I'm going to stay here for a bit. I'm not sure how long it's been on for now, to be honest with you, either, but I'm going to stay online for another little hour or so at least. I'm just going to go and make a coffee and I'll call this halfway because I've still got lots to look into really.
사무총장은 2020년 핵 확산 금지 조약 NPT 발효 50주년 기념 평가회의 준비 모임에서 북한의 핵 프로그램은 매우 우려할 만한 상황이라고 말했습니다. 그는 모든 증거를 분석해보면 북한이 한 단계 진보한 핵 프로그램을 확보한 것으로 보인다고 덧붙였습니다. 중국 관영 매체가 최근 북한에 잇따른 미사일 발사 실패와 관련해 모두 기술 부족 때문이라고 혹평했습니다. 또 북한은 장거리 탄도미사일 기술력도 부족하며 핵탄두 탑재 능력도 없다고 북한의 미사일 능력에 대해 평가절하했습니다. 황구시보는 군사 전문가 등을 인용해 이같이 밝히고 미사이버 공격설에 대해서도 북한의 발사 차량에 현대화된 정보통신 지휘 시스템이 탑재돼 있지 않기 때문에
무관하다고 주장했습니다.
They're only fireworks.
네, 연일 때일은 여름 더위가 이어지고 있는데요. 오늘은 이 더위가
Right, so I won't leave you watching the morning news because I can't. In Korea, what are Trump's options? Maybe I don't want to put too much propaganda on his own. Because I just sat here saying, look, I think this is all just pantomimes. World stage. Look at the rockets. Everyone having to see rockets all day, every single day. It's all about the rockets, Barry. Like Tom Green's birds off Freddie got fingered. I'm trying to get back somewhere. Is there more comments here? No, just girl amigo. Yeah, look, I've missed loads there. The arrow, I hadn't pressed the arrows on. I was like, right, for every person with cancer, 6 people make money from it. Cannabis costs the government millions. That's why they won't allow it. I'm on chat if you want to chat later. Australian band show 1. I get that up again, mate. I haven't got that phone, but I had that at that time, so we haven't had that up for a while. 2:15 p.m. Yeah. No, do you know what? I don't have to tell the time in this. In this format. I can't tell the time. In the 24-hour clock. Like, I'm not sure why it's like that. I power wash this computer quite a lot. That's annoyed me that all week, to be honest with you. I like seeing my numbers when they pop up like so I don't get to see them as much when it's not in the 24-hour format. When I was a kid, I used to always sit there all night watching the clock and waiting for the numbers to all line up like this. As is. They're always to it. Right, I just want to find something to put on, but as I said, not too much propaganda. That's what all of this is.
You need a website. Why not do it yourself? You can create your own professional website. Choose from hundreds of designer-made templates. No matter what business you're in.
Yeah, these are okay. These don't normally copyright me as well. So anyone who ever does want to just like live stream something, these are normally quite good. Tend to copyright the living daylights out and everything. You normally get away with a little bit with these.
Tries to denuclearize North Korea by force. Donald Trump has sent an aircraft carrier to the Korean Peninsula.
Yeah, but it got lost.
Raising tensions in the already volatile region.
Oh, look at this. What we keep seeing is pentagram. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 it was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Though could be classed as 6 still at the outsides with the one in the middle. All flying rather than the big pentagram. Or that's being the hex. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's all. Say the season get lost in a hex.
To what lengths will Washington go to removing a potential threat? This.
I remember last year. Look at this. The death of Kim Jong-un dead. What's this? Like, not him, but there's not all of that. I'm not going on about all that. Nearly dead. Oh, let's just put dying. Put dying, okay. Last I heard about him before he just pops up now. Or ready for. Where have they all gone? Because they were saying, like last year, they were saying he was sick. he's had too much cheese, or something stupid like this. America dies, we all die, not the Korea's Kim Jong-un will fire, whatever. Shaka son. Right? Where are these stupid ass stories? Kim Jong-un dying, cheese. This time we put the word cheese and don't sound too stupid. Right, yeah, 26th of September 2014. Right, you haven't heard much about him since then. Yeah, you've heard quite a lot about him, but I'm sure it was even later than that, you know. Yeah, they were saying, oh, look, no one's seen him for weeks, where is he? He's unwell and it could be gout. North Korea confirms it's young dictator is suffering discomfort after addiction to Swiss cheese. Kim Jong-un's not been photographed in public since September the 3rd. Been walking with a limp. Asian speculation it might be gout. 31-year-old imports vast quantities of menthol, his favourite variety. His weight has ballooned in recent months and now he walks with a limp, but experts think his weight gain may be deliberate to look like his late grandfather. So they were trying to tell us he was sick, and then no one had seen to with all this bullshit saying, oh no, he's just had loads of cheese and he's gone fat, look, here he is. That was pretty much the last you heard, look at him, fat kid. So then he comes back doing all his little nuclear launches, and America, oh yeah, and doing these, look. It's all this just done in a green screen in Hollywood. All of it. I think it is. Right, I am going to go and do my coffee right now. I will be back in a few moments, but I hope this is alright. I know it's going to be probably not. It's just propaganda, but I'm just going to leave this one on for a couple of minutes. Speak soon.
His inside story. To be headed to Australia. Its new route is seen as a show of force from the US, which is also putting pressure on regional powers. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson says China has agreed action must be taken. Andrew Thomas reports from the border between China and North Korea.
In a parallel imaginary 2017, this is a busy bridge. Instead, it's deserted. On the Chinese side, a customs building is idle. In North Korea, the bridge dissolves into fields. The bridge was built to be a sign of normality and North Korean openness, but those dreams burst. Today, the bridge is a symbol, but one of North Korea's isolation. And the river is nearly as empty as the bridge. Until recently, boats carrying coal were a common sight. But in February, in response to a North Korean missile test, China said it was suspending coal imports from its neighbour. On Sunday, swimmers were easier to spot. Some trucks are still crossing another bridge upstream, but the United States wants this trade to stop too. It thinks China should punish North Korea more for its continuing missile tests, even cutting all economic ties. But that could carry risks.
Instead of persuading North Korea to give up nuclear weapons, you may cause a collapse of North Korean government. That would create a chaotic situation as well as a huge humanitarian disaster.
In Dandong, people agree. Few here feel threatened by North Korea. Many have connections with their neighbour, which date from the Korean War.
It's impossible to completely shut down trade because our men shed their blood in that land. My father fought for that country.
I'm not worried about North Korea. China is so big and strong now. They're not a threat.
Last Friday, Donald Trump told Xi Jinping that without new ideas from China, the US was prepared to chart its own course. A sign of that came at the weekend as it sent warships towards the Korean peninsula. Whether North Korea over there sees US ship movements as provocative could become clear on Tuesday when its Supreme People's Assembly holds a rare meeting. A big parade set for next Saturday in Pyongyang could also be a moment for Kim Jong-un to react. China wants both sides to stop provoking the other. It's long urged strategic patience towards North Korea. But US patience is fast running out. Andrew Thomas, Al Jazeera, Dandong on China's border with North Korea.
Well, the US is keeping tabs on North Korea because the recent missile launch is just the latest step in its nuclear program. In 1998, Pyongyang launched a multi-stage long-range missile over Japan into the Pacific Ocean, calling it a satellite launch. 8 years later, it test-fired a second missile and conducted its first nuclear test. Over the past decade, North Korea has conducted 3 other nuclear tests and launched more than 18 missiles. Then last September, it fired 3 more ballistic missiles, one of which entered Japan's air defense zone. It also said it successfully conducted its 5th nuclear test. And last week, North Korea fired a ballistic missile into the sea off its east coast. Well, this sparked the US response we're seeing today. So let's bring in our guest now to talk about what happens next. In Seoul, we have Jean Lee, Global Fellow at the Woodrow Wilson Center. And in Boston, Jim Walsh, a Research Associate at MIT's Security Studies Program. Great to have you both with us. Jim, first of all, can you explain to us what this US Navy deployment consists of and the message that it sends?
Well, it's the aircraft carrier, the Carl Vinson, and because aircraft carriers tend to be vulnerable when they're these big boats in the ocean by themselves, there's a set of other destroyers and other ships that travel with them to protect them. As to the message, I think it's one of two things. It's either reassurance to the U.S. ally South Korea. In other words, another way for a powerful country to say to its ally, don't worry, we've got your back. I actually don't think it's reassurance because we do these big military exercises every year. I mean, we do all sorts of things already to reassure the South Koreans. It's probably deterrence, which is to say to try to dissuade North Korea from conducting a nuclear test this upcoming Saturday.
Well, Jean, perhaps you can help us out there. Is this reassuring to South Koreans to see this, this deployment moving back into the Western Pacific?
Well, South Koreans, to be honest, the people are largely unfazed as they usually are. This is seasonal. As Jim mentioned, we have these joint military exercises every spring going on here on the South Korean Peninsula. That said, it certainly was a talking point from in the government and among presidential candidates who don't like, it's not so much the arrival of the Carl Vinson, but don't like the talk of a preemptive military strike as a possibility. That is what makes them nervous.
Jean, why are we seeing this posturing now? What is the actual threat level that we're seeing from North Korea?
Well, the concern is, of course, that North Korea, the pace of North Korea's development of its nuclear weapons and its ballistic missiles has been surprising and worrying. Now, North Korea, the leader of North Korea stated very clearly on New Year's Day this year that he would get an intercontinental ballistic missile into the air. And this is a missile that is designed to strike the United States. And very clearly has said he wants to get enough hydrogen bombs small enough to mount on one of these missiles. And so this is the pairing of these two technologies that experts and scientists have been concerned about. And the pace of the test launches is certainly unprecedented.
I'm pleased to say we can now bring in
say experts in science just are concerned about how fast that they're working on the pace of this missile together. That's just going to be able to mount loads of them onto one missile. Why would the scientists be concerned? Wouldn't like the defense ministers or something like that be concerned?
The National Association of International Studies. Great to have you along with us, Victor. We've got the US showing here that it means business. What is China's response to this naval deployment?
No, I think what the United States is doing, moving its military forces, including several aircraft carrier groups, two areas closer and closer to the Korean Peninsula is really alarming. And since the United States launched the Tomahawk missile attack against the Syrian government Air Force just a few days ago, it is even more alarming now to see whether the United States may actually take unilateral military action this time against DPRK. I think from the Chinese perspective, the Chinese government has repeatedly mentioned that we do not all want to have war or confrontation or military conflict taking.
I'm going to look at shortly after I've had my cup of tea, coffee, sorry. Like I said before, this little thing, this only a page, I haven't finished it yet, so that's why I haven't done nothing about it. And the video that I've stuck to it is only just a speech, just a prophecy from a rabbi. With this particular article, what I've done here is North Korea and the Rothschild Central Banking Cartel, more smoke and mirrors. So we're going to look into that. It's all centers. I hate that. I need to just switch that over. I may just read it anyway, but I don't like it presenting it no more. The difference between me now and say like before I've done the journalism courses, that would have been the way I did it. I used to like everything like that, being centered and being different, but it just looks crap, completely crap. So I did get taught how to like, not write properly, but how to press write, and pick that up very quick. So I know how to lay it out, I know how to write, and I know how to structure a little bit better than that now. So that is the difference between looking at one of my articles from like now, not thinking this one because I just haven't clicked it all over when I've done that. But I do present them all side, moved over to the left now. But a couple of years ago, or even last year, parts of last year anyway, I would have still been writing like that. So if you ever see anything on the website, if you ever read an article on the website, and it is like that, just look at the date. Just look at the date on it. I bet you it's from like last year or before. Because from September onwards, 2016, I was writing more normal. But that's just what we're going to be looking into is that one. And also, sorry, this one, Prophecies of War, World War III Decoded. 2017, Year of Judgment, End Times Prophecy. So that one was an article that I published on the 29th, but again, I don't think I've finished that one, so that's why I haven't come over and read them 2 years or come and done the videos about them yet over on the channel. I'll get back into that in a moment. I am just going to watch this in a moment, taking in. I'll just keep jumping in and questioning it all, obviously. But when we're looking at the little games that these are all playing, Korean Colombo and his Mac, what we're going to do is just show Swiss cheese from a time in Switzerland. It's all the same things, if you ask me. So we're just going to look into the little things, and I will jump in and question this, sort of sitting in on their debate what they're having.
Place just by China's doorstep. China wants to keep peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula, and China is urging all parties concerned to bring a stop to the nuclear testing and eventually achieving nuclear denuclearization on the Korean Peninsula, but also for...
How many times have you seen that particular image of him when he was sitting at the computer screen a couple of moments ago? Just need to just get back up here. Remember, we are to be grandmasters of respect. The Mexican, thank you for being here still, you know, mate. Thank you for being here still. It's been a long time now, it has. I think I'm caught up with the comments there, 10:15. Yeah, just to confirm, the Mexican, it's not, it's 22:37 now, not 10:37 in the morning, like it said before, in the 12-hour clock. Dun, dun, dun. Yeah, so let's just get back to this one moment, just while I finish my coffee.
United States to discontinue the deployment of the THAAD anti-missile system, and I think at this time also urging the United States not to take any military action unilaterally, which may result in great instability or destruction on the Korean Peninsula.
But Victor, we've just had a summit in the US between President Trump and President Xi Jinping. President Trump said he wanted to see new ideas from China, or the US would act unilaterally, but we didn't see any new ideas coming from Beijing. Why not?
No, I think the Chinese government has already announced that they are sending Mr. Wu Dawei, who is the special Korean envoy, from China to Pyongyang as we speak. And he will stay there to discuss the situation with the DPRK government and try to figure out what's the best way to calm down the situation. And I would say it takes all parties to tangle together this time. Threatening to take unilateral military action is, in my best judgment, not constructive at all at this particular stage. Whatever you want to do, need to have the consensus view of various parties here in this part of the world, and South Korea need also to be consulted, and we all need to work together to create a situation where tensions on the Korean Peninsula will be reduced rather than heightened, and eventually to achieve peace and stability in this part of the world without bloodshed. Because if unilateral military action is taken, we do not know what will be the consequences of that showdown eventually.
Jean, to what extent does South Korea agree with the Chinese position? We've seen today on Monday the Chinese and South Korean envoys meeting to discuss the situation. They've agreed to tougher sanctions if we see a nuclear test or a long-range missile test. Is that the extent that Seoul is willing to go to?
They do agree on, as Victor mentioned, is that they don't want another war. I mean, this region knows just how destructive and devastating the Korean War was of the 1950s, and they don't want to see that again. They do both want to be part of the discussions when it comes to finding a solution to these tensions. They don't want to be sidelined, and so that's something that they agree on. So you see all these different partners or these different players trying to forge alliances when it comes to dealing with North Korea.
Tim, does the region have a right to be alarmed, having seen the strike that the US launched against Syria? Was that a game changer? Has it raised the stakes, showing that Trump is prepared to act unilaterally?
Well, I'll give you two different but related answers. One, the strike in Syria was exceedingly modest. I mean, essentially, it was missiles that struck an empty airfield, empty airbase that then was repaired within 24 hours with bombers flying off the next day. If President Obama had done that, I assure you his Republican critics would have said it was weak and a pinprick. Now, I still think there was value in it if it deters Mr. Assad from using chemical weapons again. But it was really very, very limited. And I think it has no application to the North Korean situation at all. North Korea and Syria are completely different cases. North Korea has nuclear weapons. It has artillery aimed at Seoul. Syria doesn't have any artillery aimed at an American ally. I think they're just very different. As for where this may go, you know, I think this is basically symbolic. And Mr. Trump is risking sort of flexing muscle, and then Kim Jong-un, as he has done repeatedly in the past, may very well ignore it, call the bluff, and conduct a nuclear test or some other test. And then where are you after that? So I'm troubled by this. I think the Americans, my country, should at least wait until South Korea has their election before they go off on their own policy, and we need to have our ally on board. And there is no real president in South Korea right now. So I think this is a mistake.
Yeah, let's put that to Jean. We know we've got these elections in May, having seen the ousting of President Park. She was pretty hardline against the North. Do you think we're likely to see a continuation of that policy?
Candidates in this presidential race, presidential election, which is set for May 9th, are liberals. So this could certainly change the equation. Both the two candidates who are frontrunners are a little bit more open to engagement with North Korea, a little bit less inclined to rely on the U.S. for protection. So I think that we may see a shifting of alliances and positions when it comes to the Blue House in Seoul when we get a new president. Now, I do think that there's quite a possibility that North Korea will try to shift public feeling or sentiment. They do want to have a liberal in
maybe perhaps somebody who's more inclined to work with them rather than aligned with the US when it comes to Korea policy. Jane, how close is North Korea to conducting a sixth nuclear test? From what experts are saying based on satellite imagery, they're poised and ready to go. All the preparations have been done, according to the satellite imagery that we can see from above, is to get that executive order from Kim Jong-un.
Victor, what will China's response be?
Well, I think China's position is consistent. China does not want to see the nuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. China wants to see a stop and a discontinuation and the destruction of the nuclear weapon program by DPRK. And China is willing to work with all the parties concerned, including the United States, to achieve this goal. However, China definitely wants to have a peaceful way to resolve this problem rather than to see war breaking out on the Korean Peninsula, mainly because the consequences of the start of a war on the Korean Peninsula will be highly, highly unpredictable. And you do not know, once you open that bottle, what kind of Jenny will come out of the bottle, which may eventually completely turn that part of the world upside down and spill over into countries nearby, including China. This is the last thing we can afford, and this will also be highly unpopular, but in this part of the world as a whole.
Absolutely. I mean, it does seem that everyone's in agreement that you don't want to see any all-out conflict on the Korean Peninsula, that it would be hugely destabilizing for the region and indeed the world. But if North Korea does conduct a sixth nuclear test, what will China do?
I think China is doing the right thing. China is engaging with the DPRK government. China is...
Well, they're the best cameras I've ever seen in Korea. I've never seen cameras that good in North Korea before, have you? Look at the sun. Oh no, it's a light. Oh, it looks like the moon. Oh no, it's a light. How come it looks like the moon?
Is implementing the United Nations approved sanctions against the DPRK, and China is talking with the United States, and we want to move every party onto the same page. China has repeatedly urged that all parties come back to the six-party talk framework to talk about a peaceful solution. Right now, it's not successful, but that does not mean that we need to give up hope and go to war immediately about the DPRK nuclear weapon program, because taking military action may actually counter a backfire, and the event is now.
Jim, is China doing the right thing? Is it doing enough at the moment?
Well, I think it's doing some, but there is a lot more it could do. It could crack down on the private Chinese businessmen who act as brokers, who run these shell companies, who do WMD procurement for the North Koreans. So I would like to see China use its anti-corruption campaign, its anti-counterfeiting laws, and other domestic laws to go after the Chinese brokers who are helping the North Koreans. Remember, 90% of North Korea's trade is with China. China has a lot of leverage here. Now, I don't expect China to squeeze North Korea to the point of collapse. Still a lot more they could be doing, and we're going to have to see whether they actually follow through on their announcements regarding the UN Security Council resolution. They signed on to it last year, but it didn't work out. They didn't keep to the caps. They've announced this year they will stick by that cap, but we're going to have to wait and see if that's true. But there's a lot more that all the parties could be doing than they're doing right now. And finally, let me say, I do not think that the Trump administration would launch a preemptive attack anytime soon against North Korea. I think the danger here is one of miscalculation and misperception. How does Mr. Kim sitting in Pyongyang see the or small things that escalate?
I've just noticed something strange. Not strange, but just noticed something right. There's a person in Liverpool who does Reiki healing, and I've basically done a status today on Facebook morning saying I won't be able to recognise anyone without the Snapchat filter on soon. Be like, oh shit, sorry, I didn't recognise you with your puppy, without your puppy nose and waggy ears with flowers in your head. How the fuck are you? In quotes. So, people like and that and what have you. So anyway, one of them is this person. So when I click on it, it does Reiki healing. Now, I did this person only a couple of weeks ago because of all the spiritual aspect of the work that they do. So now I'm just looking through what the person does. Gypsy soul, indigo kid, energy healer, empath, and freedom of mind activist, Reiki master, dark and light inspector, a global paradigm shift, market manager. I'm not naming none of the companies because I don't want, but so that's why I'm just stopping short of them. But founder at such a place, which took my interest in thinking, I didn't know that. Right? So, the person is actually from Baghdad, lives here in Liverpool now. Now, why this took my attention is the particular company which the person works for. Now, I advertised that company last year when I was on the journalism course and what have you. And little do we know, because I've spoke to this person, look, founder of the company, in fact, current city of Liverpool. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to speak to this person now. Say, not now, like, but because I have actually, the reason why I got hold of this person in the first place and said, look, I'm going to do something. I wanted to do some work with one of these, like, Reiki healers or something like that, just do an article on them, but go and, like, film it, do a video as well. And there you go, there's the little foot in the door to that one done. Consider it done. It's weird, I'm not sure whether it's a good thing or what, but I've always been like that anyway. A little bit sort of spiritually inclined. It's strange just for a lad like me to be like that. But what ended up happening was, like, someone years ago, someone I was with years ago, when they went to see one of these Reiki healers, and as soon as they walked in the door, he went, "You're here because," and said my name, and went, "I already know." Said, like, I already know. Someone had been and told them the night before. She said someone's been, I don't know whether it was, I'd been the night before and told this Reiki healer that I was going to, that like she was going to be coming in tomorrow. But I got mentioned, and I was like a proper subject of the conversation and what have you, what was going on there. My mum used to always go and see these people and what have you, spiritualists and what have you, but the Reiki one was something that I did want to look into because of the chakras and stuff like that. Go and find out what it is, speak about it, but at the same time then maybe just get like some sort of, just have a look, because I think I'd just set if I walked into one of these places basically and said to one of these like Reiki healers or spiritualists or something, anyone like that, a psychic, and said, well, go on then, read me, I think it'd send their little radars off the scale. They would. So yeah, so that's something that I'd like to do. I'll open that door up for myself though. I will do. I'll open that little avenue up. Anyway, let's just come back over here, see if there's anyone commenting. It's good to have, right? It's good to have a goes on. I agree. Radios with upper and lower sideband channel capability. Okay, that is something that I will look into. We can shut all this about soul. $30-mile range. with upper and lower sideband. They're saying the less I know, the happier I am. Which person, mate? Which person? What was this person saying? They're saying, there's an old saying, the less I know, the happier I am. Oh, which person? Do you mean the person who, the Reiki healer who spoke about me? This is before I even knew what a Reiki healer was. They just proper said, you've come because of Carl. It was pretty, it wasn't even nothing bad or nothing like that either. It was definitely guiding. It was definitely guiding, like, for the person. Probably for both of us. Do you know what I mean? It's probably a bit guiding for both of us at the time. The less I know, the happier I am. But you see that though, that's also a bad thing. I think that's like what's wrong with everyone. I think that's what's wrong with everyone, certainly social media, people. Oh, it's weird. I remember seeing a couple of years ago. This is where the last hour, when I stay out for a while, and the last hour just go where we just talk and whatever it is, and I'll stay here on the chat now. But I remember a few years ago when I was just looking at people. People on Facebook. I haven't finished my coffee yet. People on Facebook seem to be getting more and more fake. I remember thinking, like, are these all programs or something? What's going on now? You can see the real people who would know. But then you could just also see this sort of, this fake, this weird profiles that were just popping up everywhere. They're everywhere now. They're everywhere now. But you just see a lot of them, and that's when I started like questioning, like, where these fake people coming from? Are these, as if some sort of program just putting them there and they just appear, and then are they real? You'd relate it now to, like, when you see these false flag events and you see all the crisis actors and you see their Facebook profiles, that's the type of profile that I'm talking about. Are they setting them up at the time and then they stay dormant for a few years, and then so it looks like there's a bit of content on there and it's been there for a little while. Every like 6 months they might get them in for a little photo shoot somewhere so they can put another couple of photographs on the profile, but they always look professionally done. And then, but the profiles are just fake. So it's that type of look and profile that I noticed a few years ago. Just thinking, like, are these all fake people and fake? Where are they coming from? And if they are real, it's as if they're just manifesting from nowhere. Do you know what? It's weird. Strange. Best to keep a pure friend. But yeah, so now what you see with Facebook people now anyway, or just people in general, people are, the less they know, the happier they are. And I think that is what's wrong with, or it's not what's wrong with people, but it's a telling sign of the world that we do live in. The difference between me and the people who I see getting on the train and getting off the train every single day, 9 to 5. And you just see them, and I feel sorry for people, I always have done. But in their own world, they think that they're living the life of Raleigh, they think they're doing everything that they should and what have you. I don't see why I should look at someone and pity them. I don't, but I do. I don't see why I should look at them and pity them, but I do. It's weird. I can't explain it, but I can do it through city centres. Where is he up to? Well, War III still, isn't it? But yeah, I would like to start. I'd like to connect with a few more people like that. I've messaged that person, in fact. I've posted on the wall saying, guess what? So we got a response to post on the wall, guess what? Like, what? Yeah, that's an intrigue. Anyway, so I'll try and get that done. There's too much corruption for the mind. I think I've been I think they've definitely upped the ante on something this year. They have with they've like turned the little frequency up a bit or something like that. They definitely have. We definitely have. We're all still being tested. I feel like I'm still being tested. I'm like 33 next month. But I still feel like I've still got like, why am I still being tested? Have I still got lessons to learn? Stuff like that. But it's weird. It does it. I don't know. Face value, I'm alright, me. I'm sound like there's nothing wrong with me, but I still am a deep thinker though, obviously. Maybe I think too much. But it's just as if like I'm still being tested. But you know what I always like to see, like, when you're getting tested, it shows you it's for the bigger picture. Everything's always for the bigger picture with me. So the fact that I am 33 next month on the 5th of June 1984 was my birthday, so this makes it my 33rd year. But the date of birth that I did pull out brought me onto the path of Enchanted LifePath, because the numerology around again, I wouldn't want to get lost in everything being like, oh, let's dig up the bad numbers and everything, because again, like I said, I found all the good stuff first. So I found all the good numbers, which made me become Enchanted LifePath, and then found all the bad numbers. And after time, they're all the good numbers, but just with a different meaning. The first time I learned anything about like 2222, it was like, yeah, look, just watch 2222, and I was setting up Enchanted LifePath. I know I have to put the angel number in. This is a good one. So this is what I found first. This type of stuff. Like, wait, numerology is good, and then the next thing, it's not. Do you know? So everything that you like just gets ripped away from you. 222. It's gone well past 2222 now, but 222 is a powerful number that vibrates to all the attributes. Number 2, amplifying and intensified. Number 2 resonates with service and duty, balance and harmony, adaptability, diplomacy, cooperation, consideration, receptivity, and love, understanding, personal will, the ambition, sensitivity, justice, selfishness, sociability, support, attention, detail, decisiveness, intuition, caution, flexibility, grace, devotion, relationships, encouragement, faith and trust, and serving and living your divine life purpose and soul mission. Divine life purpose and soul mission. I do encourage you to take a balanced, harmonious and peaceful stance in all areas of your life, no matter what the circumstances. Trust that everything will turn out for the highest good of all in long term. So do not put your energies into negativities such as fear or worry, but rather be aware that all this is being working out by spirit for the highest good of all involved. With positive affirmations, visualizations, and a firm belief in yourself, you will manifest the best outcomes in all areas of your life. Maintain your connection to the angels and the universal energies, and listen to your intuition and angelic guidance. Right? There's a little part of this there's a lot of it which is pretty relevant to me, but there'll be a lot of it which is pretty relevant to everyone as well. But there's a part of it at a certain time in my life which was so relevant to me, and it was when I was setting up Enchanted LifePath, and it's the first time I've seen this number, so I went and found it, the meaning, and then he ends up like writing 222 down, and because what it tells you is what you're working on. There's a line in it where it tells you like whatever you're working on, it's just been blessed. It's been given the blessing. Go for it. Stick with that. You're on the right path. And all of this coincided with me finding out about my master number 33 numerology, but with the full set of 11, 22, and 33. So I'm like, wait. So that was Enchanted. Enchanted was like always one of my favourite words. As a kid, the Enchanted Forest and the books about that was always my favourite book. So now when I look into all of them, that was just telling you about the big giant trees. Everything's linked. It's mad. My favourite topics at school used to be, when I was a very young kid, I was more intelligent than my dad. When I was 8, he was like my mentor. He was American. From Houston, Texas, a soldier. Sorry, not a soldier, US Air Force, pilot. So anyway, when he died when I was 8, up until the age of 8, I was like the cleverest kid in the world. And then society got hold of me from then on, and I'd lost my little mentor and got taught different, because an American dad's different to like an English dad. It's more like, hey son, and do you want you to learn? American dads will drive you more, push you more, I should imagine. That's speaking from experience. I don't know. But anyway, it told me a lot of things which I can relate to, like a lot of other stuff, but throughout my whole life I could probably like look back at certain little things. You'll see like the data set Enchanted LifePath up, and when you look at it, like bang, it was September like the 23rd or something, and the next thing there's all these little buzzers about 9/23, September 23, remember? That comes around, it's just all little things, synchronicities. So that was originally what Enchanted LifePath should have all been. Not all this. Do you know what I mean? Shouldn't have been about all of this. And I even say it myself here. And about me. And there's the numerology page, which you want to sort of, I'm going to start digging into all that, but I might just do it all. I might just do like, who is Enchanted LifePath, a big page. But not like, who am I? Like a big expose, who am I? I just mean like, why Enchanted LifePath, and just go and look into everything and dig it all up. Okay. Yeah, there's the first things, what it is, right? I noticed something about the future. No. I've missed an important line out here. Right, I have a recurring daydream where I am at the front of the great in the education, opening one set of eyes at a time, taking stepping stones like stars throughout my journey, starting at home and with people who can relate to me, advancing to YouTube and the website, eventually planning to release a book, thoughts become things.